Good afternoon. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq, and today we are going to focus on alternative data for this episode of Trade Talks. And joining me is Mike Mayhew. He's the Director of Research at Integrity Research Associates, and Stephen Schwartz. He's the President of Commercial Markets over at Dataminer. Thank you very much for joining me over at Nasdaq. And let's get a sense of what is the value of alternative data and how many different types are available out there. Stephen, we'll start with you.
For me, alternative data are just new and innovative ways of doing things, competitively differentiating your trading approach. Certainly in this day and age, we can't sit still and rely on the old ways, the traditional ways of making decisions or being as informed as possible. So alternative data can mean many things to many people, but at its core, it is about disruption and doing things differently, and that's what we do at Dataminer.
So, Mike, it's a little bit different than just getting a conversation with a trading desk or typical research reports. Give us some examples of what alternative data could be, some different
Sure.
types.
Well, for example, I mean, really there are dozens of different types of alternative data. And it really comes down to whatever you can think of. It could be certainly data from social media. It could be data from satellite imagery. It could be geolocation data, measuring where people are with their mobile phones. So there really are dozens and dozens of different types of data that provide different insights that traders or asset managers might use really to help them either confirm or conflict with their views on a particular stock or a particular sector.
So at Integrity Research, is there a type of alternative data that you specialize in? Give us a little bit more background.
Well, in Integrity Research, we actually help asset managers find unique inputs to their research process. So part of that is alternative data. So we actually help them find whatever type of data they might be interested in for whatever thesis they're working on.
Right, okay, and for Dataminer, let's have a little bit more background on that as well.
Sure, I mean, Dataminer has completely disintermediated how information flows, especially for the investment and trading communities. We deliver breaking alerts and actionable information faster than traditional sources like major news outlets or the news wires. And that helps our customers, traders who need to be informed, who have a fear of missing out, really buy some mind space to make some decisions, to decide to act or not act. And so social media has truly transformed how these decisions are being made. And that's what we do at Dataminer. We deliver these alerts in near real time, well ahead of traditional sources.
Well, let's talk about some examples. So if I'm a retail analyst and I want to see what foot traffic is like at the country's malls. Well, it's impossible to be in all those different places at once and physically count foot traffic. So would you use satellite imagery as one way to gauge it?
Right. There are really two different approaches. One certainly is satellite imagery. The issue with satellite imagery, of course, is there's cloud cover. There's a whole bunch of issues with satellite imagery, but you can take pictures of how many cars are in the parking lot and count those, right? So that gives you an idea of how much traffic there might have been at a particular store. However, what it really doesn't do is it doesn't give you an idea of where in the store you might have been, right? So now you can get geolocation data, which are tracking where you are by your mobile phone, the GPS on your mobile phone. And I may not know where Jill specifically was, but I know that a person carrying a cell phone was in a particular section of Walmart, for example, and how long they happen to be there. So that's a way that a retail analyst might get a better sense of revenue for that particular
Right, so for example, if they know that I'm in the houseware section of Walmart, I'm going to spend my time there, but I don't really venture over to the kids department because I don't have little kids. So like that's how they'll determine.
And I was just going to say, and it's interesting how the proliferation of mobile devices has really fueled this alternative data trend. We find that at Dataminer, everybody with a phone can be a reporter of actions and events that are happening. So for example, we recently had somebody who witnessed a refinery explosion in Amsterdam, one of the largest suppliers in Europe. And because Dataminer are alerted on that, our clients got that information a full 9 hours ahead of a major news outlet reporting that. So how mobile devices have really informed alternative data and how that has impacted trading and investment decisions is really material in this day and age.
That's a significant trading opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there's another way that people are using mobile devices really to collect data. They're actually taking photographs while they're in stores so you can actually see inventory on the shelves. And so there are firms that are collecting this data and being able to collect ideas of, are your shelves too full or are they empty, and of what products.
It's really interesting because it feels as if we're just at the beginning of data analytics. We've just, this is the tip of the iceberg. Would you agree with that? I mean, there's so much more that can be done with this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we see this every day. And for us, it's a very global phenomenon, right? It's about surfacing information that's being revealed via social media that might have a direct or an indirect impact on the financial community, on a decision that a financial professional might make.
It's really interesting to see how traders and analysts and portfolio managers use this kind of data, because when we put something on Pinterest, we just think we're sharing it with our social and digital peers, but this is actually driving investment decisions.
It is, and the key is the fear of missing out. If you don't have real-time information from every possible source, you could miss out on something really big that could impact your portfolio.
What's some feedback that customers give you? What would they like to see more of, or what's working for them?
Well, certainly one of the things that we're seeing is, as we're getting a proliferation of different kinds of data, what data really isn't what drives a trading decision. What drives a trading decision is really insight from those decisions. It's the signal created by the data. And that's really what clients are looking for. They're looking for better signals rather than just more data. More data is great. Everyone wants more data, but it's really what you do with that data to be able to turn it into an investable opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it is about having all the possible tools at your disposal so that you can competitively differentiate and be as informed as possible. But at the end of the day, it's the insight that's going to be driving those decisions.
But it's not also just investment decisions. It's also great for risk management. Right.
Absolutely. You see firms when they have, for example, you're invested in a sector, what you want to have a good sense of is there a miss in your view about a sector or a stock? And clearly that's going to drive a risk management type approach, right? And so if there is increased risk around a potential investment, then you'll take appropriate action.
Right. And so Steve, we'll wrap it up with you. It's not simply taking data and plugging it into a model. It's much bigger than that.
Absolutely. And as the world gets smaller and geopolitical events have impact on volatility and markets, you just need to be as equipped as possible with everything as soon or as early as possible to be as informed as possible.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me at MarketSite. And thank you, as always, for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.